Hello, and welcome to this module on gender in inclusive urban sanitation. My name is Pauline Cherunya.
And my name is Vasco Shelbert.
In this module, we will explain what gender is and why this matters in the inclusive sanitation debate, and highlight real-world sanitation-related gender challenges.
We will also name the most important connections between gender and sanitation access, and highlight what you, as a consultant, should consider in a gender-sensitive approach. First of all, we'd like to explain the term gender and how this is related to the term sex. Sex and gender are not interchangeable words. Sex refers to the biological and physiological characteristics of males and females. It is how we are at birth. For example, there are biological differences between males and females in the way they urinate. And women menstruate while men don't. Gender, on the other hand, is socially constructed but builds on sex. It refers to the behavioral, cultural, psychological, and emotional attributions that are shaped by society and culture. Making use of a gender-sensitive approach helps to uncover these attributes and exposes gender challenges in sanitation. Ultimately, it aims to achieve equity rather than equality. But what's the difference? Gender equality is based on the premise that women and men should be treated in the same way. This fails to recognize that equal treatment will not automatically produce equitable outcomes, because women and men have different life experiences. Gender equity, on the other hand, takes into consideration the differences in people's lives and recognizes that different approaches may be needed to produce equitable outcomes. Taking gender equity into account is fundamental to inclusive sanitation. Inclusive sanitation recognizes and values diversity. By identifying and addressing the various needs of all genders, each individual is valued and treated with dignity and respect. Only then can we achieve universal and equitable access to adequate sanitation. There are gender identities beyond man and woman. To learn more about this issue, please consult the literature we provide at the end of this presentation. In this module, we will be focusing on gender-sensitive sanitation for men and women. Gender influences our behavior, places certain restrictions on us, or gives us specific privileges. In sanitation, men and women, boys and girls have different cultural restrictions.
In some cultures or regions, social restrictions prevent women from being seen going to a toilet. This poses a particular problem in dense urban areas where finding privacy is difficult. Consequently, women go out before dawn or late at night to relieve themselves. This can pose a serious threat because women often face harassment and both sexual and unsexual forms of violence. Women are forced to address this dilemma by restricting their food and liquid intake, which can lead to dehydration. This is particularly dangerous for pregnant and elderly women. Suppressed urination can result in urinary tract infections and has been linked to an increased rate of miscarriages. Access to nearby sanitation facilities is generally a relief. But even when toilets are within the compound or within the house, insufficient privacy and taboos, for instance about sharing a toilet with male relatives, forces women to look for alternatives. Therefore, for some women, a gender-segregated public toilet may be the only bearable solution. However, there may also be gender-related challenges presented by public and community toilets. These toilets may be located a long way away from the users. They may not be safe to use at night or have inconvenient opening hours. They may be too close to the male toilets or where men congregate, causing women to be harassed or threatened. There may not be enough female toilets. Some may be broken or permanently locked. Or they may lack running water, hand-washing facilities, or disposal facilities for menstrual hygiene materials. These challenges persist because women are often excluded from planning and decision-making processes. In consequence, many sanitation projects fail to meet the basic needs of women and girls. Women themselves need to be involved, heard, and be able to contribute inputs, especially on their sanitation needs and preferences, for example, preference for squatting or sitting toilets, or menstrual hygiene management needs. The facility design, such as the entrance position and location and the number of stalls, and the facility management, such as who operates and cleans the toilets. Here are some examples of gender issues and challenges in sanitation projects. In Cambodia, technical training was provided to men as owners of small sanitation enterprises. The program failed to realize that the businesses are usually family-run. To ensure the effectiveness of the program, women are now also included in the trainings to strengthen their technical and business skills. In the slums of Mumbai in India, some community toilets had women's and men's stalls facing each other. When consulted, women said they felt insecure and gave examples of harassment. The facilities were then renovated to have separate entrances and to align stalls back to back to minimize interaction between men and women.
To deal with gender-related challenges, consultants have an important role to play. Working in gender-sensitive ways helps consultants uncover blind spots in a project. An inclusive approach proactively involves different genders in planning and decision-making processes. In this respect, pay attention to the composition of your team and aim for a gender-balanced team. Definitely avoid a team of one gender. The way you work together is essential, as well as how consultants approach and work with the community. Therefore, include a budget on gender training. While the team leader should set the tone and be accountable for gender outcomes, make all team members receptive to and responsible for gender sensitivity. Also, make use of a gender-sensitive approach at the scoping stage of your project. This means always collect gender disaggregated data. Ensure participation of all genders and consult them separately. When interacting with a community, use experienced facilitators of the same gender as the group members, so that people feel relaxed and able to speak up. And finally, invite and support women in leadership and decision-making positions. For guidance to gender mainstreaming and gender analysis tools, please consult the literature provided at the end of this module.
In summary, gender equity is essential to inclusive sanitation. Gender-sensitive approaches are an integral tool to consultancy work in sanitation programming. It helps to uncover cultural concerns and social norms, and to understand roles and responsibilities. With this approach, you help create better outcomes for individuals and communities. Only then can we achieve universal and equitable access to adequate sanitation. Thank you for watching.